are rolling. Vic, I want to thank you. Thank you again for doing this. I'm here with Vic Andrea. She's a psychic medium. You also help with locating missing people, which is how I found you.
Yes.
And you do other stuff, and we'll get into that. But so before we get started, this is our third time meeting.
I'm tired.
Yeah. We've kind of been through like this ordeal here. But because of that, I wanted to ask you, is this like a common thing? Have you ever experienced this? Like, because last time we spoke, you said that you had mentioned that your energy can affect electrical.
Yes. It's quite funny because I had done a podcast with someone else previously. I mean, this was several years ago.
Okay.
And I didn't know until after this that her equipment went haywire as well. Yeah. But my energy is very, very strong. And that's why I have these crystals right here.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You brought crystals today, so it's for the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, when I had Valerie on, she had mentioned crystals, but we didn't really get to go deep into them. But what is it about them?
So every crystal has a different purpose. And what I'm doing with this selenite right here is I basically set intention for each one that I put around the table. Oh. And the intention is for absolutely nothing to go wrong. Right. And if there is some sort of extra energy, negative energy, so forth, for the selenite to soak it up. And then I'll clear it away later.
Oh, okay. So it acts as like an absorbent and...
Yes. So instead of for the energy messing up your audio card or something else around, the energy will just go into here instead.
Wow.
I put these at my front door so that if anybody walks in my house with negative energy, it just like...
I'm so fascinated because I don't know if you've been to Colorado, but in Colorado they have like this huge like museum of just all these different crystals. But I never knew that they like served this like purpose of being able to absorb something.
I have this is tourmaline. I'm just keeping it in my pocket. It's gonna do extra work just in case.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep all my energy to myself, or within some of these, not pick up anybody, because you don't know who was sitting in the chair before me, you know, and what kind of energy they had. And I'm such a sensitive person. I come in here, pick it up, and accidentally dispel it everywhere. I mean, it's hard to explain, but it's so common. Like, if I'm angry, sometimes if I have to figure out how to control my own emotions, because if I'm angry, we joke around, I can accidentally zap something.
Okay.
I have noticed years ago during a breakup, you know, it was tough. It was hard. I wasn't regulating my emotions properly. And one thing after another just kept happening. And this is why I tell people, like, you can manifest anything, good or bad. So yes, I'm going through a bad situation right now. I'm going through a breakup, but that doesn't mean I have to manifest negative all around me. And I did. And what happened was my air conditioner broke. Oh. And then whenever I got my air conditioner fixed, an electrical outlet caught fire in my room. And then whenever we fixed that, the water heater in the attic went out for the second time. That was all my energy. It was me.
Yeah.
If I would have been going through this bad time in life, the breakup, and found positive things about it, I firmly don't believe I would have been like zapping things.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah, for sure. You have something.
What is it?
You can use your phone.
Oh my God. Can you tell I was punched? No, I'm kidding. Where?
Oh, I think you got it.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you got it.
Do I have food in my teeth?
No, you're good. Is there a reason why it's black like that?
What?
The crystal?
Oh, I thought you were talking about my eye. Oh, this is a different crystal.
Oh, okay.
This is all the evil. No, I'm kidding. No, this is a selenite. This is a tourmaline. It's a completely different crystal and holds completely different purpose.
Oh, okay.
It's stronger, and it's made more for like absorbing that negativity, and I'm able to pour things in here. It's a lot about negativity though. I don't want negativity around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Not saying you're negative, but like I said, we don't know who's been in here. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
And I've been at a car dealership all day. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Lots of people.
So, and the last time we spoke, we really got into a lot of good stuff that, that I want to revisit.
Okay.
But I wanted to make clear that, like when I said weird, like I wasn't calling you weird. I was saying the situation was weird.
You don't need to clarify yourself. It's because as we grow and evolve and learn ourselves, like just growing up, I always told myself I'm weird, but I had to, this is all about this positive negative thing again.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are sensitives think, oh, that's just weird, or I'm weird, or that situation is weird. And I had to train myself not to say the W word, not to put that in my head.
Yeah.
Because no, I am normal. I am me. I'm not weird. Because then we just manifest that negative thought. So I'm not saying that it's so common. Everyone says it.
Yeah,
but
it's just
I am trying to teach others not to call themselves weird. But that's a whole different situation. So
yeah, and it's such an easy word to just like go to.
I do it all the time.
I can't really think of anything else.
I try to say not normal.
Right. But what I was really finding interesting last time was about the generations that you found with your grandmother, right? You had mentioned that you didn't think it was like normal because your grandmother would have news crew would go in. You're like, this is not normal, like, but you were born with this like sensitive ability. Did you ever think that maybe I'm different from people? Like,
that's a good word, different.
Yeah.
No. I didn't put anything together until very later years. Like, I knew I was different, but I didn't think I was different on that level because I didn't understand what a psychic or a medium or channeling spirit, I didn't understand what all of that was whenever I was growing up. But I knew that for some reason I could never spend the night at a friend's house. I couldn't do it. I tried so hard. By midnight, I'd be calling my mom to come and pick me up. Why couldn't I be a normal child?
Yeah.
I knew that I couldn't sleep without 5 million lights on because I was afraid of the dark because I heard things. So those are the things that I knew I was different in comparison to my friends. I couldn't go to a sleepover. I tried. It was hard. It was difficult. And I look back at it today and I understand now why. But then I didn't understand, we're at a sleepover and there's all these energies and I feel this way, but I'm not really feeling myself. I'm feeling Jane in the corner, I don't know how to fully explain it, but I understand now. But yes, I was different.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand.
When you're watching your grandmother do this, right? And she's helping people. You had mentioned something about a weeping Jesus. Was that the grandmother who had the newscast? Everyone would write to her.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Did you look it up?
Oh, I'm remembering it from last time. And so you would see this like miracle? It was like a crying Jesus statue or something?
It was a picture.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a Jesus photo, and it was framed, a big one. And right at the bottom of the frame, I mean, it wasn't a normal frame, like I guess one of those keepsake box frames.
Oh, okay, okay.
And right at the bottom of the picture had cotton balls that I couldn't, you can't, it wasn't like crying, like,
Yeah.
it was falling down, but you could see the oil substance or whatever it was coming from his eyes. And then in time, you watch this cotton ball get full of the substance.
Yeah.
So it was over time, and everybody wanted to see it. And at one point, one of her Mother Mary statues did it too, but I didn't see that one.
The other thing that was fascinating was that, so each one was a specialty. They had a gift and like a specialty. You had mentioned one of them was a specialty over blood.
Mm-hmm.
And she had cows. Like this was something that they helped their like livestock with also.
Yeah.
Was it you that had saw your uncle or something? What was the story again?
It was, hold on, I need to clear my throat. I talk a lot.
No, that's good.
No, it was my aunt.
Okay.
So let me see, which one is this? My great grandmother treated for blood. It's a traiteur. It's it's a Louisiana culturistic thing.
Yeah.
And we call it treated. So she treated for blood, meaning if there was any issues with blood, she has this gift. She's connected with spirit. She's connected with God, and she prays over it in Cajun French, and it's healed.
Yeah.
I heard a story from my aunt about when there years, back in the days whenever they relied on cows and wild animals for food.
Yeah.
That was their supply source. Well, one of the cows cut their leg and was apparently, I don't even know if it was their leg. My dad was the leg. They cut something and was bleeding out, and she prayed over it and literally saved the cow. But for my dad, he jumped over a hurricane fence with like the little pokey barbed wires,
Yeah.
and cut the main artery on his leg. And it was my aunt that witnessed my great grandmother pick him up, run him into the bathroom of the house, told everyone to leave. But my aunt peeked around the corner, and she was like, oh my gosh, all I could see was like every time his heart beat, the blood would just go.
Yeah.
Every time it just came gushing out. And then all of a sudden, Grandma started praying and thanking God, and it just stopped.
Wow.
She saved his life. So if you look up traiteurs or treaters with the Louisiana culture, you can learn more about that. This is something that all of my grandmothers had. They were all able to treat for something specifically. Can I remember everything? No. I mean, some things are as small as sunburns, like sunstroke. I remember whenever I was very young, I was 7 years old, I had got the shingles, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And not one doctor could heal me from the shingles, that my mom got desperate and found a treater that could treat specifically for shingles, and that was the only thing that made them go away, and they never came back.
Wow. When you were treated like that, did you feel like it's largely a part of belief? Because I have asked about Mexican healers, and what I've been told is, oh yeah, there's plenty of them, but you got to believe in that stuff.
So here's the deal. Even for me, because I'm a healer as well. I'm not a traiteur. I want to put that out there, because I don't want anybody.
That's the healing hands, right?
I have the healing hands,
Okay.
but I just don't want people to think, like I wouldn't want my family back home to think, oh, I'm calling myself a treater. It's very different, and I just want to make sure that I honor my culture the right way.
Right.
But I do have healing hands, and it's all about energy exchange. So it's not for me to heal you. You heal yourself. I'm the conduit in between.
Oh.
It's your belief. If you believe and you can believe in, all I see is this right now. Okay, anyway, if you believe and you have faith that I can help you, I guarantee you, you will be helping yourself. But if you don't, then you're not helping yourself.
Oh.
I'm not going to heal you. You will heal yourself. Does that make sense, or does that confuse you even more?
It actually does, and it raises another question that I kind of want to get into, because it's also another part of what you do, right?
Okay.
You do candle work. What is it? Candle?
Yes.
Candle magic.
Candle work, candle magic, spell work, whatever you want to call it.
And if a person goes to you and you make this change in their life, they believe but then is it something that is short-lived because they don't believe as much? For example, like, are they getting like some kind of temporary like fix because they think that you're doing everything, and their belief is like, oh, I believe in her, but not so much me. You're more of an external part of their life.
Yeah. I like to call myself a boost.
A boost.
Yeah. So whenever it comes to all of this, I tell people that I try to educate people in having them learn and understand that if you have a negative mindset, then it's not going to work. Period. Bottom line. I can't work. I mean, I'm pretty sure I can work miracles. I saved someone's life, but no, I'm kidding. It is everybody doing it together. So if someone comes to me and says, hey, and I don't do this, by the way, but I want you to, this is a picture of Joe, and he's fine, and I want him to love me.
Oh, okay.
You know, can people use any sort of magic towards trying to make Joe fall in love with someone else? Absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, it goes wild. But is that something I do? Absolutely not. So if somebody were to come to me and say, my husband and I split up, and we're not 100% certain if we're going to get a divorce or not, can you draw him back to me? Well, I can go ahead and 9 out of 10, I don't do it, but I can go ahead and do some sort of, and I read my candles too. So I can go ahead and do some sort of candle work, but I do it in the highest good for both people.
Okay.
So if wife is thinking positive, then by all means, positive's probably going to happen. Here's the deal. I have someone right now that is driving me up the wall.
Oh, okay.
And this person wants to do some candle magic, and I won't do it.
Okay.
Because this person and their partner have been out of their marriage for over a year, and this person is fully obsessed with their partner or ex-partner, asking me, begging me to do something for them, and I am not going to do it. That is not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And their intentions are not pure. You know? So typically what I'll do is like healing stuff. I'll do healing candles a lot. I keep a money bowl for myself. So I keep that in my office, and I light a candle, like just attracting money, drawing money. It's all about it's all about manifesting, right?
Oh, okay.
It's not that money's going to fall out the sky, but it might bring me a new real estate lead.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to be completely open-minded about it. And I believe in karma, so I would never use it in like an ill way.
Hmm.
Sometimes I use it to help people, they got a divorce, but there's still all this emotional attachment to their husband
Yeah.
that they want to let go, but for some reason they just can't let it go. Well, sometimes I'll just light candles for them and try to cut those emotional cords away.
Oh.
And it helps. It really does. But you have to believe.
Yeah, and that's such a crazy one too, because love is such a strong emotion, especially when you've been with somebody for so long, and it can like drive you like all kinds of like crazy.
It can. And I've been doing this for long enough that I can tell whenever someone's pure and when someone's genuine. And let me tell you something, 9 out of 10, if somebody is going to you and trying to get you to do a love spell or love magic or some sort of love something, it's not genuine.
Oh.
That's just my opinion, and I
Yeah.
won't do it.
Is that mainly because of the like a religious aspect or something, like that you don't do it, or is it just because it's like not the right thing?
I just don't think it's the right thing.
Oh, okay.
It is more of my own morals, my own morals and my own beliefs. I am for the higher good, and I would never want to force anyone or manifest or, openly do anything against someone's will. And if you do that, like, so if you were to come to me and say, I want to marry Jane, but Jane's never noticed me, and Jane, you want me to pull Jane towards you and fall in love with you and get married, that's against her will. She has no idea who you are. I would never do anything against someone's will.
Okay.
I have my own morals and integrity. Will other people do it? Probably so. But I'm a firm believer in God and faith and karma.
Okay.
And I don't want anything to turn around threefold and come bite me in the butt.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
You and your dad also had a gift as well?
Yes. So, my dad, my biological father, does have a gift. He knows things. So, he doesn't have the healing hands, I don't believe, but he's a knower. Now, goes into deep religion because he's a Catholic and he prays a lot. Like, he prays the rosary every day. Okay. His faith is very different than mine. And he's done some pretty bad things. He's not in a good place right now. He's in prison.
Oh.
And he's never coming out, unfortunately. Well, that's another podcast. But it's wild because even though he's incarcerated and he's behind those prison doors, the man knows things. He knows when stuff's going to happen. He knows how's it going to happen. It's like he can predict things. He has the same gift. And I'm able to see it even though he's still in prison, if that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
Because baby, I have this feeling that XYZ is going to happen. Be careful. And then, okay, I put my alert up because maybe I have the feeling too. And then guess what happens? It happens. It's stuff like that. It's almost like a prediction.
Yeah, like, and it's like we're all connected, right? Is it like we're all connected, like collective consciousness? If you think of something, then, or you have an idea, somebody else has that same idea.
It's not always a coincidence. Some people just think it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, but not always.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't have the idea. Sometimes he'll just approach me. I have, this goes far back. My oldest son is 21 years old. And he once told me he had this feeling that my oldest son would be a certain way. And as my child grew, that's exactly how my kid was. And it wasn't a normal way. My son has high functioning autism.
Oh, yeah.
It's different, it's my firstborn. And whenever you have children, your mind it's like that movie, it's like a movie. It's going to be a perfect life.
Yeah.
It's going to be the perfect child. They're going to be a football player and do this and do that. But it was completely opposite because he had autism. So it was, my dad tried to prepare me for that.
Yeah. And you mentioned also that, which I found interesting, is that a lot of this stuff comes in a feeling, but a lot of it will play out in like a movie. Like you see an image.
Yes.
You see something. Is it like you get an image of something important and then it happens like immediately, or is it like it's like something that's coming?
It's completely unpredictable.
Oh.
So all sensitives have the clairs, like the 4 clairs.
Clairvoyance,
clairsentience, clairaudience, clair something. I can't think right now. And that's basically seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing, like you just know.
Oh.
So what I explain, typically a psychic or a medium or a sensitive will have one very strong clair. And that is, they can see things really well. But for me, all of my clairs are really well. So I can see things, I can hear things, I know things, and I can feel things. Okay. Sometimes I smell, but that's not a real big one for me. No. So for me, yes, I see things like a movie. So if you know me, whenever I sit there and I close my eyes, that's all she wrote. Like if I'm sitting here and I just start closing my eyes for a long period of time, not like just a blink or whatever,
yeah.
I'm looking.
Oh, wow.
Or I'm trying to focus on something. Like it's so hard. It's so hard to explain, but whenever I do mediumship, even if you watch my TikTok and I'm doing a live mediumship, sometimes I'll even plug my ears because unfortunately that's a bad habit of mine.
Yeah.
Only because I hear everything. So I'm such a good hearer that I literally hear the dog licking their paw.
Oh, wow.
And it drives me up the wall. So if I want to really focus on what I'm trying to see, I'll plug my ears so that I'm not hearing the conversation in the next room, the dog bark over here, the bird flap its wings over there. I hear everything. I don't even sleep good because I hear when my husband turns.
Yeah, you bring up that. That's interesting because this is something that's it seems more frequent amongst women. Women by nature are more sensitive.
Yes.
They have a better smell than men do. I'm sure there's other things, but by nature.
Well, I used to think for a long time, I didn't even realize it was because I don't even remember clairaudience. That's
Clairaudience.
it. I didn't even realize I was clairaudient. I thought I was a mom, because when you have children, you train yourself to wake up at the drop of anything. You're up,
Yeah.
And I was a paranoid mom. So my baby moved. I'm like, what? By baby 3, I was over it. But so I thought, even growing up, like I had to figure all of this out, even in my 20s, because that's whenever I mothered hard. I'm like, is this because I'm a mom? Why? Even after the kids grew up a bit. and I'm still not sleeping good. Why am I not sleeping good? My babies are old, you know?
Yeah.
And that's whenever I started learning that it was more than me being a mother. But I thought I trained myself to hear everything because I became a mom and needed to hear my children cry.
Yeah.
But I was wrong.
With the mediumship, when you decided that, okay, I'm going to start helping people, was your family like aware that, oh yeah, she has that? But I guess, were they shocked or were they surprised that
Well,
you put yourself out there?
I think I kind of eased into it.
Mm-hmm.
I need the one person that's been really close in my life, my entire life, has been my mom.
Mm.
And she's seen it play out through my entire life. Like 16 years old, 19 years old, 20 something years old. I know things. It's insane. Like at 16, I knew something very bad was about to happen. And that's when my grandmother, my mom's mom, unexpectedly died.
Mm-hmm.
19, I was pregnant for my oldest son, and I was very depressed because I wanted that specific grandmother to be there because we were very close. And the whole pregnancy, she turned on and off the lights all around the house. And my mom witnessed that because I lived with my mom. And then after the baby was born, I asked her to stop because I was paranoid about the kid not sleeping or something. And I asked her to stop. I'm like, Mama, I love you, and I'm so glad you're here and you're showing me that you're here. But can you please stop turning on the light in the middle of the night because I really need to sleep, and I guarantee you my light never turned on again. And it was this little touch lamp, 1, 2, 3. It would go through its stages. It was so cool. Anyway, so my mom has seen it. And obviously my mom knows my grandmother on my dad's side. And we pretty much joked about it a lot. People growing up, she was like, my grandmother was just very different. Mm-hmm. And she kind of creeped me out sometimes. And I was like, I don't ever want to be like her. And I'm totally her. But I didn't understand. So I completely eased my way into things in life, and only the closest people around me knew. And then I decided to start practicing under another name. I can't tell you how many names I've gone through. Mm-hmm. I started practicing under another name because I didn't want my real estate clients to associate the negative. I wasn't strong enough to sit here and try to come to bat and explain myself. I'm going to say it was probably about 10 years ago that I just openly allowed it in the house, just freely talk about it, explain things in a different way, not the way that, my mom or dad would have explained it whenever I was a kid. So my now 11-year-old is completely open-minded about, Mama, I saw this out of the corner of my eye. And instead of for me saying, oh, you're just seeing things. Yeah. I'm like, okay, let me explain. And I explain, it could have been this, it could have been that, it could have been this. And I know it might sound wild, but it could have been, your grandmother's spirit. It could have been this, that. How did you feel whenever you saw that? Did you feel scared? You shouldn't feel scared. You can talk to them and tell it to stop. My 11-year-old sees dogs, deceased dogs. Yeah. And he openly talks about it. Mom, Scooter's here. Oh, okay. Tell him to say hi. But that's my kids, and even whenever I met my husband, I told him, whenever we were not married, I told him from the get-go who I was and how I was. Mm-hmm. Because this part of me, I changed it for a little while for my ex-husband, and I'm never going to do that again. Yeah. So if somebody can't accept me for me, then too bad, so sad. Okay. Yeah. I don't need a man in my life. I choose a man in my life. And he accepted me for me. So it's like it stayed in my little household and then slowly started pouring out to the community. My family, the only kickback I get a little bit is my dad's side of the family is very religious.
Okay.
So my grandmother, the one that had this gift, actually created her whole missionary property, like a whole mission, okay? And they didn't serve a religion anymore, like no more Catholic, no more this, that. And my grandmother swore she spoke to Jesus and Mother Mary, and they answered her back. To each their own, okay?
Yeah.
But whenever I talk to people that are still on that mission, that are my family, and they're trying to understand what I'm doing as a psychic medium, as someone who is gifted, as someone with an intuition, they don't understand. They think that it's bad. They think that I have to talk to Mother Mary or I have to talk to Jesus only because that's what my grandmother did.
Yeah.
They think that, you know, if I'm lighting a candle, that I'm doing bad things. But in my opinion, there's no difference between going to a church and sitting there or kneeling there and lighting a candle for prayer versus doing it on your own.
Yeah.
Why not go into deeper knowledge and understand, okay, this color candle, blue, represents this, and this herb represents the same thing, and this oil represents the same thing. So let me just write in my candle what my intentions are around this topic, let's say health, and put all these components together and say a prayer or set off an intention. People don't get it.
Yeah. It has to have this religious connection. Otherwise, it's a bad thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now I see this generation now really opening up. There's so many people like me. And I love it in San Antonio because you see it more. So I'm from a small town. But here you see it more because more younger kids can be their true selves.
Yeah.
I don't understand why here in comparison to the small town. Maybe because people just don't judge you. Like they may look at you, but nobody cares.
Yeah. That is so interesting that, there are others that you have met. And like you meet them and you want to tell them, but you're like kind of feeling each other out. That's so cool.
Yeah. But now I'm not going to, it's so funny because I'm not going to be like, and I'm a psychic medium. I'm a psychic medium. I'm a psychic medium. I'm not going to do that.
Be like that lady that.
Oh my gosh. No offense, but she drives me up the wall. I'm not going to do that. I am me. I am who I am. And then if you learn my profession along the way, whether it's a real estate agent or a psychic medium, then you learn it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't deny it anymore, but I'm not going to be like, hi, I'm Victoria, I'm Vic, and this is my life, and I talk to dead people. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, because some people will like make that a whole business.
Well,
and
it's
like,
a business.
Take it on the road. Like that lady.
I would love to do that. Teresa Caputo.
There you go.
But she just doesn't, and I'm not saying that she doesn't have, oh God, I don't want this to come back to me. I'm not saying that she doesn't have a gift. It's just the approach that she takes the approach I take is very different. I'm literally not going to walk up to someone in the middle of the road or in the store that's checking out my groceries or whatever and be like, I have this for you. I have that for you. I have this and that and this and that for you.
Yeah.
Because there's a boundaries. And I respect those boundaries. And what if that person, maybe I might have grandfather here. But what if that person isn't ready?
Yeah.
It is a huge deal to me, like a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's why I do not open, even if I have a spirit screaming at me saying, tell this person this.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to open my mouth unless you were to come to me and say, do you have anything for me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because this is deep, very deep. And whenever a complete stranger tells you things that no one would know,
right,
it's a shock.
Yeah.
And I have people that believe in what I do and still won't have a reading with me because they say they're not ready to hear what I may say.
Yeah.
So why go to people and say, I see this, I see that? Now, do I walk down the road and feel things and see things for random people? Absolutely.
Wow.
But I have to shove it away.
Yeah.
And I do set off like controls. Like I like to, like an old school, you know, knob that dims the lights and stuff. I turn it off, and then I'll turn it on a little bit, or I'll turn it on all the way.
Yeah.
And I've been able to train spirit.
Yeah, and so that raises something interesting, because I added you on TikTok and I like a lot of your videos. You have that one video where you're doing the mediumship, right?
Right.
And two people are coming through, and you ask them to come closer, and it sets off like an instrument. And is that their energy? Like, obviously we all have energy, right? But like I can't do what you just described.
You can't do it? Wait, what do you mean?
Like turning down a knob, turning down something with my own energy.
You can do it.
And then these people who have passed, it's that same energy that's causing them to make that instrument go off?
It's their energy, not mine.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So, okay. So whenever I do, like on my TikTok live, I call it paranormal mediumship. Because I do paranormal things because my middle child is into paranormal investigating. So it's just a bond thing we have. I'm just a bonus because I'm a psychic medium. Which is sometimes not the best bonus, what I learned last night. Because we went to a haunted dollhouse, and rather the spirit communicate through like the voice box or whatever, they were trying to communicate through me, and I'm like, no, leave me alone. Anyway, yeah, it was heavy. So whenever I do the paranormal mediumship, I will set off, like the box you're talking about is a REM pod. And it has an antenna that like detects temperature change around it. So think about it. Like even in the movies, you know, you see, they say, oh, it suddenly got cold in here.
Yeah.
And I think there's something here, you know, that does really happen. But in the movies, they exaggerate it a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like The Sixth Sense, I see dead people, you know, it's totally exaggerated. But it's true. Like if you feel this random gust of wind or coolness or what have you, that's likely spirit.
Yeah.
So what happens is basically that REM pod is back there, and I know that I'm connected with spirit, and I'm talking about it, and I'm relaying it. And basically what it is I'm like, okay, can you actually show yourself too? Can you get your energy together and move as close as possible to that REM pod? And what you saw is the REM pod go off. Nobody's there. No one's touching it.
Right.
And it's going off like moments after I ask. That is spirit communicating with me. But it's showing you also. So it's not only the REM pod, it's the little cat balls, or an EMF detector, or the flashlights. They turn flashlights on and off all the time. But they only do, for me, they only do this when I ask. If you sit on like one of my TikTok lives and watch the whole thing, there's down periods where we're just having conversation,
Yeah.
And all that stuff in the background is not going off because
Oh.
I don't have any spirit with me at that moment.
Yeah.
They come and go.
And they know, like, they know that they can go straight to you. It's sort of like they're looking at a bunch of people with their back turned and they see you. And they're like, that's her, it's her.
Whenever I open my channel, it's funny because it is literally like once one spirit realizes, oh, she can communicate, it's like, we got one, and it's like, before you know it, there's all kinds of people like knocking on my door. And I have to try to figure out who's who.
Yeah.
Like, especially if I do it for like a group. So not just on TikTok. Like I do demonstrations and such, right? So let's say I'm standing on stage and there's 50 people looking at me. I probably got 5 spirit per person here.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it's very hard to figure out who's who. And I always say that I want to get a hard connection, meaning I need to put all these puzzle pieces together with the audience, try to figure out who this is, get a hard connection, and then we can tone in even closer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
But it's not like that. Like if me and you were sitting in this room and I would be giving you a mediumship session right now, I'm not going to have all those extra spirit around because it's just you in here.
Huh. Like people that I know that are there trying to come through?
So if there was somebody in the back room in this house, office, whatever you want to call it, and I were trying to give you a reading, I can very easily accidentally pick up on their spirit because they're in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also, you refer to it as spirit, like, especially with the man that you found, which we'll get into, but you're like communicating with spirit. Is that our higher self, or is it like our spirit that knows everything, or what exactly? Because everyone's supposed to have one, right?
Right.
I guess, is it like a guardian, or is it like our higher self, or like, what is it?
I call it, spirit can be a lot of things. And that's just to me trying to tone a ton of definition into one word. Some people will, I guess it's just my polite way of trying to be as broad as I can possibly be. Because some people will call it their guardian angel. Some people will call it tuning into Jesus or Mother Mary.
Oh, okay.
Some people call it their guides.
Yeah.
Some people call it, whatever it is that they believe in. But whenever I say spirit, I believe in all positive, and it's more than one thing. So I feel like I have my guardian angel that I was born with, and then I feel like I have angels or spirit guides that come along in my life that just kind of stuck with me. Then I believe my personal belief, I believe that I have my own ancestors, like all my grandmothers, but that's spirit. Okay. So it's a collective of everything in my verbiage.
Okay.
Whenever I connect with your past loved one, rather than me saying I'm connecting with Jane, I say I'm connecting with spirit because they're in spirit. All of them are in spirit. So that's why I use the word spirit so much, but it can be broken down into smaller pieces.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think I did good on that one.
Yeah. And this raises the question that I have, is because I have been obsessed with like this whole idea about what happens when it's our time. Are we going up there? We hanging around, or do we come back? It's reincarnation. in your line of work, some people are still there. And you told me the story about this client that you were dealing with their loved one, and they said 1993, and I died this way, and this is what happened. So they've been there since 1993. Is it like, is that time, like how
There is no time on the other side.
Oh. Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
It's timeless. There's no time there. So that whenever you're, and I know so many psychics, intuitives, people like myself will understand this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no time there. So if you don't learn how to set boundaries with spirit,
mm-hmm.
they will bug you 24/7 because they don't know if it's nighttime, daytime, shower time. Like there's no time. It's just like, I can wiggle in, you know? So in my opinion, even though, let's give example, since 1993, this person's passed and I can still connect with their spirit on the other side, in my opinion is they just haven't chosen yet to like go and be reincarnated. It's not their time for that.
Wow.
It's very rare that I run into someone that I can't find, a soul that I can't find.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when, in my personal opinion, I feel like that soul isn't there anymore because it's back here. Reincarnated.
Yeah, I think about that, about like, I wondered if time is linear like it is here over there. So if it's like 1810 or 1810 and I pass away and I come back, am I coming back at 1812? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so
Isn't
funny.
that weird?
Yeah.
Like, you think about like...
We don't use weird. It's different.
Different.
It's not weird. It's just your thought process.
Right.
We all wonder and think and try to put... You have to put together your own opinion and stand on it and be strong.
Yeah. This... And so, I mean, we don't know, right?
We don't know what.
Like, we don't know if they are really choosing to come back or if they're given permission to come back. Because why are they like trying to deliver messages, or why are they... Do you feel like if they got their message across and they'd be, okay, now I'm coming back?
I don't know. So what I feel is quite often spirit realizes... How can I give this as an example? Sometimes the spirit, so we're a spirit, right?
Yeah.
In a human body. This is our shell or something.
Yeah.
What I do on earth and the negatives and certain things that I do here, I may not realize the bad things I've done to harm other people or make other people feel sad or what have you until I got back there. And I'm not hurting anymore. And I'm free of all of this. And I realize, oh crap, I wasn't, and not me, but oh crap, I was an alcoholic, and that did affect my kids this way. And I'm sorry about it. I may not have said it in my human life, but I see it now. And I realize now that I should have done something for it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what spirit is about also. Does that make sense?
Like a reflection on what I did to other people.
That's one thing. Yes. I see it whenever I connect with spirit quite often. It is more of an, hey, it's a healing thing for those that are still on earth. Hey, I'm over here. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I love you. And this is how you can know it's me. And then that's whenever I start seeing, hearing, feeling, or knowing things that I'm not supposed to see, hear, feel, or know.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just more of a clarification type thing.
Yeah.
That's why whenever people come to me and they're like, I want to ask my grandmother if I should marry John.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to try to ask grandma anything. We can, I can try to talk to your spirit guides or something, but that's not what grandmother is going. Spirit guides for like spiritual guidance, but grandmother isn't going to necessarily answer that question.
She's not going to give you advice. She's not going to give you the lottery numbers. She's not going to.
No,
Yeah.
not unless she wants to, but I can't even promise that I'll connect with grandmother. 9 out of 10. But I don't know if they're reincarnated,
Yeah. That's one thing you said. You said, like, if you can't reach them, you feel that they've made the decision or...
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's so wild because I have to remind people here, that hire me to do a mediumship. I have to remind them sometimes of who their loved one was. So if their loved one was an extreme introvert and not really willing to step forward and talk to a lot of people, guess what? They're not going to do it in the spirit world either.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's going to be extremely minimal, very minimal things, cut to the chase, let you see what you want. We're not having a whole conversation. I'm stepping right back.
Oh.
Because that's who they are.
Yeah.
If in human life, they're on earth, is your dad that always stays sitting in the rocking chair and never goes answer the front door, never comes communicate with the family gatherings, all of that. Is he going to walk forward and come openly talk to you?
Yeah.
Maybe not, because that's just not who he is.
Yeah, and then you got to explain, like, to people because they have this, like, they have this outlook about what you do and what you from TV or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, break it down for them.
It's a lot. It really is. But I believe, and like I said, so that's why so many years of my life, like, I just kept it within my house. But I have to realize that I'm this light worker, I'm this vessel. I can, and there's so many people on earth like me.
Yeah.
But no one will open up and talk about it. So I'll do it now.
Right, because you have a day job, right? And you don't want it to be like, oh no, they're into this stuff, and I don't really. Yeah, I think that stuff. I do believe like everyone has it, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask you is that, is it possible for somebody who is born without this gift to develop it into like train and to like make it stronger?
I think absolutely anyone can enhance their intuition or enhance their knowing. I just personally feel that people, let's say with a genetic history, may have a stronger connection.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, anyone and everyone can do not necessarily mediumship, but anyone and everyone can be quote unquote psychic.
Yeah.
That's really all about you trusting yourself, your gut, you trusting what you hear or feel.
Right.
Yeah. People can teach themselves.
Do you think that that technology kind of like hinders the development of that? There's this guy who I can't remember his name, but he's gone down to the jungle and like done a lot of like preservation work and stuff like that. And one thing he said that when he left the city and he left his cell phone and his computer and all that stuff, he gets to the jungle and then all these like things, what do you call them? Instincts start coming back. That it says.
So like whenever I want to practice, how do I say this? So I give all my bits and pieces practice sometimes. And is it practice? I don't know how to explain it. But or work to strengthen them. So let's say I want to work on seeing, recognizing certain symbols. I will make it a point to not get distracted by any sort of electronic.
Oh, okay.
So I'll often go outside and just sit there with no phone, no TV around, no radio on, no music in my ears, and look at things and look at that leaf and look at all the fine details in that leaf and maybe make something out of the details in that leaf. That's what this guy is talking about.
Oh.
He's not distracted by television, by phones, by computers, by music, that you can actually take in everything around you. You can hear the tree branches rub together when the wind blows.
Yeah.
You can hear the rocks and the dirt under your feet when you take a step. Like that is the... People don't anymore sit there and think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's how I make my senses stronger. I force myself to
Yeah.
go walk in the woods, per se, and listen, or go walk on a trail and listen to everything around me and acknowledge it and know what it is and know what's there. Rather, it's someone banging on a house because there's a house being built in my backyard almost. Or anything, the water trickling.
Yeah.
So this guy's factual. Like if we put all of our devices away and sit in the real world, I promise you, you're going to start, you might think you're crazy. You're going to start seeing, feeling, and hearing things that you may not have before.
Yeah. And when I think about it, it's like, how often do we do that, right? We're so busy, like going to work, speaking with people. We're like always so busy looking down. It's like rarely we look up or we look at people, like, you know, we don't take that time to...
You have to take everything in.
Yeah.
Everything. That's why I'm tired all the time, because I have to be a mom. I have to be a wife. I have to be a daughter. I have to be a fur mama. You know, I have to have a career. I have to get the groceries done. I have to take everyone to do this and that. But at the same time, I don't want to lose any of my senses. So I have to desensitize. I have to put my phones away. I need to make sure that I don't listen to music. I need to make sure that the TV's off at this time. I need to go walk around the block for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, that it's not an easy balance. And that's why so many people in today's world cannot or do not realize their full potential, because we have so much blocking our abilities.
Yeah.
You know, think about it. My great grandmother, she didn't even have electricity.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the milkman went by and put the gallon of milk at the door. I mean, think about it. Everybody operated on it's daytime, it's dark time.
Yeah.
You're going to get up at 5 o'clock, whatever it is in the morning, because there's sunlight. And you're going to go to bed early because it's dark and there's absolutely nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there and you don't have all of these distractions around you, of course your senses are going to develop stronger. But in today's life, we have distractions around us 24/7.
Yeah.
And if you don't subconsciously, I hope I'm saying that right, if you don't subconsciously, purposely make it a point to practice in a different way without all of this crap around you, then you're not bettering or enhancing your gifts.
Yeah. Let's talk about this gentleman that you found. You were looking, or you were scrolling through next door app or a neighborhood app, and you just saw this picture.
Yes. Hang on. Oh, good. I can never sit still. I'm ADHD as blah, 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 blah. And you're over here not moving, and I'm like, wing, wing, wong, wong, all over the place.
I'm so interested in this, in what you're saying.
It was on Facebook. It was on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Now, you see this picture. What is it? What are you getting from it? What is it telling you? Like, because you're like, oh, I think I could find him.
So I think specifically with this gentleman right here, it was more of not necessarily the picture. I saw his picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his name is Eric White, and he had gone missing and had a clear alert out for him because he had dementia and walked away from his care home. So people were looking for him. It was all over social media. I look at the picture, and I guess I just knew the neighborhood.
Okay.
Or I was familiar with the neighborhood because I sell real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always like, ooh, what side of town is this on? And then I realized, oh, this man's on like my side of town, not an hour on the other side of town.
Right.
And that's kind of what sparked my interest. And then I realized that he went missing around the area where my son went to high school.
Oh, okay.
So that was like a little deeper, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to watch this and see if he's found.
Yeah.
But the moment that I can tell that I'm having these very small connections, like those two examples, knowing the neighborhood and around my son's high school, whenever, because he's graduated now. But anyway, I knew instantly I had a connection, but I don't want to contact anyone.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Friday. He went missing that Friday morning, and it was later that Friday whenever I saw it. And I did comment asking, what area. That's whenever I found out the area. And then the next day, I'm stalking social media, trying to see if this man has been found. And I'm not seeing anything, so I'm assuming he hasn't. So I reach out to the caretaker and confirm. I'm like, hey, did y'all find him? And this is a late Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay. Do I tell her that I think I can maybe find him, or that I can at least help with finding him?
Yeah.
What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And because I don't approach people.
Right.
Period. Bottom line. And something was just drilling at me to politely say, look, I have these special gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you believe and you're willing, then I am willing to partner with you and help you look for him. Okay. Yeah. So I did send her this message, and I'm like, it may sound, I don't even know if I don't know exactly how I said it, but I know that I basically was like, I'm a psychic medium. I have special abilities, and everything I just said. Right.
Yeah.
But I also had this big gut feeling that someone around was not willing to understand someone like me.
Okay.
So I figure, okay, if she doesn't reply to me, or if she replies to me in a negative way, I don't take that personally anymore. Okay. At least I know I did my due diligence.
Yeah. I
put it out there that I feel I can help. If you want me to help, I'll help.
Yeah.
And she wanted me to help. So when she gave me her green light, mm-hmm. I was like, okay, I'm going to tune in, and I'm just going to write everything down.
Yeah.
And this was late Saturday night. So by now he's missing 2 full days and on his second night missing. Yeah. And my brain just squirreled. Hold on. He's on his second night missing, and I write everything down, front and back, and then I go to bed. Like front of page, back of page, and I go to bed. And then wake up the next day, it's Sunday, he's still not found. So me and her were going to get together, meet at the care home, because I had seen visions of certain things also. Yeah. But I took a photocopy of the papers that I wrote, and I sent it to her. And I said, I don't know if this will be relevant to anything, but just read it over. Mm-hmm. And then before I know it, she's trying to blow up my phone. Oh. She's like, oh my gosh, you're the real deal. And I'm like, I know. And she's like, and for her, what stood out the most was that I got his daughter's name, I got his wife's name, and I got his stepson's name. But for me, whenever I put everything together, I realized so much more detail that I had got. But it was at that moment when she was like, absolutely, yes, we're going to meet at the care home. And this is Sunday. You're connected. And I'm like, yes, I am. And the more I spoke with her, I kept getting visions. And then I would write them down so I wouldn't forget, like a barbed wire fence. Not even the fence, specifically just this little barbed wire thingy.
Yeah.
Cones. At some point, I left my house physically and went to Starbucks and was driving back home. And I can see these birds circling in the air. And then all of a sudden, I start hearing, follow the birds, follow the birds, follow the birds. And I'm like, I'm not following nothing, you know? I go home. And it bugged me all day long. Follow the birds, follow the birds, follow the birds.
Yeah.
And me and her were not going to be able to get together until 4 o'clock that afternoon.
Okay.
Meaning the guy's already missing 3 full days and 2 full nights. So the 3 o'clock hour-ish come around and I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and go back towards that area where I saw the birds. And just knock this out real quick. Like, that's what I thought to myself. I'm going to go walk this green belt area, and I'm just going to knock it out just to say, I know I did this. You know, I listened to spirit, and I followed the birds.
Yeah.
And nothing came out of it. So I walked out my house, and I told my mom and my husband and my kids, I'm like, I'll be right back. I'm going to look for this missing man, which is common. I do it quite often. But what doesn't quite often happen is me calling my husband, freaking out because I found someone alone and I don't know where I'm at. That's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was literally just going to get it out of the way because I wanted to fully be able to help this woman. I wanted to sit in her car. I wanted her to drive around, and I wanted to be channeled in and look. Because if I see something that I already saw, I know I'm on the path. But I don't know where to find it.
Yeah.
I just need to keep looking until I see it. So if I were to not have gone and followed the birds, then that would have been a block for me. I have to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So before we met, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go knock this out the way real quick. And I went and parked at this roundabout in a residential neighborhood, and there's like a green belt in the back. And I explained to some lady that was outside, hey, you know, I did not say, hey, I'm a psychic medium. No.
Yeah.
I said, hey, did you see the clear alert for the missing man with dementia? And she's like, no. And I'm like, well, it wasn't far from here, so I'm going to go walk the green belt behind your house. I don't want you or your neighbors to think that, you know, I'm doing something crazy. And she's like, okay, just be careful. So it kind of brings me back to, you know, how do you introduce yourself or whatever.
Right.
I was not walking up to this lady and telling her that. So I start walking. And no. Even before that, I said a prayer to Archangel Michael.
Okay.
I said a prayer for guidance, protection, light, love, and most importantly, trust in spirit.
Okay.
Because I was scared.
Yeah.
I was afraid to find him deceased or anything, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to put that fear aside so that I can listen to spirit. So I said that prayer, and then out I start walking with my mom's cane, and I followed the birds to an animal thigh. And I recorded it too. It was kind of funny. I was like, okay, I followed the birds, and they sent me to this animal thigh thing, and I'm giving thanks because whether I found the man or not, Spirit led me to what I was asking for, even though I didn't know what I was asking for.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what the birds were circling.
Yeah.
They were circling the animal thigh, their prey, right? So at that moment, I can turn around and go back and be on my merry way and go help the lady. But I tried to turn around and go back, and I saw the barbed wire
Oh, okay.
that I saw in the vision earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh crap, I'm on the right path. I don't know what path I'm on, but I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
So at this point, my thought, my words in my head that say follow the birds turn from follow the birds to just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I made a very crucial choice. If I had turned around and not listened and trusted to Spirit, that man would have passed away out there. But I kept going. And as I kept going, I know this is gruesome, but I started finding more of the animal on my path.
This is like a deer, right?
It was a deer,
Oh, okay.
yes. And the last thing I found was its head. That made me realize it's a deer.
Okay.
And which then brought me to my next step was I look up, and I am such a sucker for scenery. I love a good scenery. And I realize, oh, I'm on this hill in the middle of the woods. And if I go walk right over there, I can see all of San Antonio. So let's go walk to that hill and look at all of San Antonio. Then we're going to go turn back and go do our job.
Yeah.
And my job was to go meet that lady and find him. So I just do all the way to the little hill. And instead of looking up and around, I looked down. And oh my gosh, he was right there. Exactly how I saw it. In a little cement cul-de-sac ditch thingy. I still don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
He was there. And I was shocked. I was like, at first I freaked out because I thought it was a homeless person.
Okay.
And I didn't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm all trying to be quiet. I'm like, oh gosh, we need to go. And then he called me Becky, and that's his wife's name.
Yeah.
And then it got my attention. And I started, I took a picture of him laying there.
Oh.
And I sent it to the caseworker. Caseworker? No. Caretaker. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I found him.
Yeah.
And remember, he has dementia. So the only thing he really truly knew and understood was his name and his wife's name. So finally, I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, is it him? Is it him? I'm like, I don't know. I think so. Because it was still the same clothes, but they were dirty.
Oh. Okay.
And I was just in a whole nother world. And I asked him, are you Eric? And he said, yes. Yes, ma'am. So polite. Such a polite person. And I'm like, oh my God, I found him. And everything just spiraled from there. It was a beautiful, amazing thing. But was I going to walk on that path that day? Absolutely not. Is it a path to be walked on? Absolutely not. They're building houses back there. So there's stuff back there, and one day people will probably go back there in years, but not now.
Yeah.
Because it's an empty area. And it's just a beautiful thing.
2 days, 2 nights, 3 days.
Yes, and freezing.
Oh, freezing.
Cold.
No food, no water.
No.
Wow.
And what I saw him was, and this is what I wrote on my paper also, was I'm cold. I'm cold, I'm cold, I'm cold, I'm cold. And trying to stay warm. And I saw him in the thing.
Yeah.
Which is how I found him. And what else was there? Oh, yeah. I had told her, I'm like, he's not even mad because, now this is before I found him. I'm like, he's not even mad because he are scared. He's not mad or scared. He's not, he's mad, not mad or scared because he's missing.
Yeah.
He's aggravated because he's cold.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of cute, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's a typical old man. I'm cold and don't want to be cold, and I'm aggravated about it. Why can't I get warm? And that's exactly what I kept getting. And then whenever I actually finally found him and started questioning him, I asked him where he was, if he knew where he was. And he was like, yes. And I'm like, well, where are you? And he's like, I'm in Misty's house. So he thought he was at someone's house. Who's Misty? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he's like, my wife Becky's on her way. She went in to get some groceries.
Oof.
And then I asked him how he got to Misty's house.
Oh, okay.
And he said he drove his truck.
Wow.
Yeah. So he did not have the mindset of he was lost.
Yeah.
Or that he was endangered or any way. Mm-hmm. He wasn't mad and he wasn't angry. He was cold. You know? It was beautiful. And I didn't know where I was at whenever I found him.
Yeah.
And I panicked, and I'm on the phone with the one lady, and then I have my other phone, and I'm calling my husband, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sending 911 to our house. From there, y'all need to find my location and find me. Mm-hmm. And so it's so funny, but I could hear at some point, and it took some time, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just the iPhone location, and you got to walk and get somewhere, try to figure it out because he has my location.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell the police where I was at because I didn't know, because I had been walking in the woods for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea where I was at. And I didn't want to leave the man because while he was laying there at that time, I didn't know that he couldn't walk. So the last thing I wanted to do was go walk and find my way and him walk off and leave and get lost again.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then I didn't want to go directly to him because, whenever someone has dementia, they can be set off very easily. And I didn't want to upset him or get hurt.
Yeah.
So I stayed my distance talking to him nicely. But the moment that I can hear the authorities getting closer to me is the moment that I decided to walk down next to him.
Oh, okay.
And I just sat next to him and just talked with him until everyone got there. And then before I know it, there's the fire department trying to figure out how they're going to get him out. There's detectives. There's everyone in shock. One of the detectives even joked with me. He's like, can you come work with me? I'm like, give me a call, dude. But several people, ambulance, told me that I saved his life. They said he would not have, exact words were, he would have perished here tonight.
That's because of the no food, no water.
He was even sunburned.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
How far did he wander from his...
So after he was getting taken to the ambulance, the caretaker opened her phone and noticed, I guess, tried to track the area, and it was 1 mile away.
Oh, okay.
He had wandered off somehow.
Yeah.
1 mile away from the care home. And on his mission to where he was at, I had orange cones at one time. There's a the road is under construction.
Yeah.
In an area that he walked. He had no choice but to walk that area to get there. That was my orange cones. So.
Oh, okay. Because you saw orange cones.
So 1 mile.
So the clear alert is specific to a person who has dementia?
I think it's specific to the elderly.
Oh, okay.
I'm not 100% certain. I think it's specific to the elderly or someone that can be in harm of themselves. I'm not 100% certain, but it's not like an Amber Alert. where it's the child that's missing. It's an elder, like for this guy right here specifically, an elderly person with something that can cause concern of self-harm, or I don't know.
Yeah.
He had dementia, so it was just important. Maybe I should look it up.
Yeah, I've been on like those FBI websites, and I've gone through like the missing people, and there are a lot of missing people.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and there's like pages and pages, and some people have been missing like since the 80s, since the 70s.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, like, where did they go? What happened?
Unfortunately, a lot of people are no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
This world's crazy.
Have you ever gone on those sites and like seen missing people? Do you ever get like, oh my God,
Yes.
there's so much here?
All the time. So I try really hard not to see it. I'm like, I don't want to look at that. But for some reason, it just keeps coming up. As if I sit here, my phone is listening to me. You know what I'm saying? But now people will contact me to try to chime in and give, what do you see?
Oh, okay.
I'm working 2 active cases right now.
Okay.
Well, 3, but 2 are active. And in both of these cases, I know that the missing person is deceased.
Oh.
It's just a matter of finding their remains. And I can see it. I can see certain things that I'm rather certain where we can find something, but I need to see it in real life to put it together.
Yeah, you'd have to work with like a detective to like say, okay, this is where they're last seen. You mentioned a barbed wire, you mentioned an orange cone. Like you could see the things, but you don't know where it is.
Unless the spirit happens to give me a precise location, and which can happen, but is extremely rare. Like, they can sit here and say, I'm in a pond, or you can find this at a pond. Okay, well, how many ponds are there around? You have to start narrowing it down. Or, it's the pond northeast, or it's the pond north of, or it's the pond 16. Well, what's the 16? Is it a coordinates? Is it longitude, latitude? Like, what's the 16? We have to put all these puzzle pieces together.
In the news piece, you mentioned it, you referred to it as you were receiving downloads. Like, you're receiving downloads like the images? Is that what you were talking about? Like,
it's just like mental downloads. How do I explain it? So I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a do. I'm doing my thing, and I have myself open up to this specific case. And mind you, I'm working with spirit, but I'm not working with your past grandmother or grandfather spirit.
Right.
I'm working with like my angel's spirit. Okay. And God, I feel like, you're praying. Somebody, like, let's say the caretaker's praying for a miracle, praying for this person to be found.
Right.
God answered her prayer through me. Period. Anyway, what was the question?
It was you meant
downloads.
Downloads.
Okay. So I'll keep myself open to anything that will come to me in regards to this man.
Yeah.
And I can just be driving the car, and then I get, this sudden mental download of just follow the birds.
Oh,
okay. Even though it was a voice. It's so hard to explain.
Yeah.
Or like whenever I channel in or I close my eyes and I look, it all comes in different times. So while, yes, I may meditate and write everything down at one moment, but because I opened that door, that pathway, things will keep coming randomly here and there. And that's all different downloads. It's a different download. It's a different download. Yeah. So while I sat here and I wrote a narrative out And this is the piece that I meditated on. Then later that day, I got another download. And that may have been the cones. And then later that day, I got another download to just keep going, you know?
Yeah.
Later that day, I got another download. This one's a picture, and it's the image of the barbed wire fence.
Yeah.
These are all things that come later or all at a different time. They don't always come together. Does that make sense?
It does. You have to piece it together. I wonder why is it like not so direct? Like, hey, Victoria, he's over here. Like,
I really wish that's how it was.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that's just not how spirit communicates.
Yeah.
And that's something really important that, you know, when teaching other people to understand true psychic mediums.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny. I'll listen to other people's podcasts and stuff, like who
Oh,
say
okay.
they're a psychic
Yeah.
and they're really not. Because you can, if you truly know and understand this, a psychic is not going to tell you a story. They're not going to say, all of this happened in this sequence of events, and then all of that happened in that sequence of events, and then this happened in this sequence of events, and it be completely accurate, exactly like that. It comes in bits and pieces. Spirit will not tell us a whole story.
Okay.
Spirit's not going to say, you can go to that, what was it? You can go to, I'm going to say green belt. You can go to that green belt and find him in a tunnel. Spirit is going to say very few words. Like, for me, it was just the birds or what have
Yeah.
you. That's how spirit communicates with us. And then we have to learn how to put it into, to understand it and try to put it into words.
Yeah.
You know, if spirit wants me to look at you and say, and this isn't true, but, and say, tell you, hey, you have gray hair. Like, you're getting gray hair. You know, they're not going to be like, haha, Jesse's getting gray hair. They're going to be like, gray hair, while I'm looking at your head.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Now, can they joke around and be like, haha, Jesse has gray hair? Absolutely. But that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
Spirit does not go into extreme detail. They give you bits and pieces, and then you and all those around you have to figure it out. And as you're figuring it out, you start getting more downloads.
Yeah.
So, like, if I were to go, example, tomorrow I'm supposed to go to Pleasanton to help find the remains of someone's brother
Yeah.
on like 250 acres.
Oof.
Okay? I'm not going to do anything but sit there and look while riding on a four-wheeler or whatever.
Yeah.
And let's say we're in the process of trying to put all these puzzle pieces together. I can get another download because we're in that moment. And I know that this is reflected to him because this is the case I'm working at the moment.
Yeah.
So if I get a download at that moment, you know, look for the tree with the red cross, you know, random. Or I see a tree with a red cross painted on it. Oh, crap. While we're riding on this, what is it? What am I riding on?
Or ATV or like.
Oh, yeah. While I'm riding on this four-wheeler, I need to look for the trees and which one has a red cross. And oh my gosh, if I see that, that's where we need to go.
Ooh, wow.
That's how they come in.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. That's super interesting. Just going back, you were driving and you saw birds,
Yes.
and then they said, follow the birds.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it directs you at something. It directs your view, you notice something that's important, it's going to tell you that it's important.
Yes.
Wow.
It can do that. And in that case, that's how I realized the birds. And then let me tell you, it's crazy because whenever I did find him, I looked up, and I have video of this.
Yeah.
I looked up, and all the birds were flying around.
Oh, wow.
And it's because, and I told the caretaker this. I said, listen, I said, we need, this is why I want to follow the birds. Because, and I told her this before I found him. I said, because the birds think that he is prey, but he's not. So, meaning I knew that he wasn't deceased.
Yeah.
But he was laying there, and they thought the birds thought he was. So, yes, I followed one set of birds, but it was actually another set of birds that was circling him. But I didn't notice it until after I found him. Yeah. And then I look up and I'm like, oh my, and I have it recorded. I'm on one phone with her and she's on speakerphone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. There's birds everywhere.
This is on your TikTok?
It is.
I'll put it up. So,
it's somewhere's in there also, but I created a Patreon account and that's a membership. But I have everything on there unedited.
Oh, okay.
TikTok, I kind of edited it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have all the raw stuff on my Patreon. It's pretty cool and it's a lot. But I also did that not just for the public or bragging rights. I want to teach other people like me the process of understanding exactly what just happened. Because it's different. If you watch every single little clip and just take note, and you'll realize what I'm telling you right now is basically that.
How did you feel? Did you pay a lot of attention to comments and what people were saying about this? Okay.
I can't. I won't look at it.
Yeah.
Because I won't let other people's negative get in my way. I'm not here to try to explain myself to anyone.
Right.
I'm here if someone wants to understand me, then okay, Yeah. But I will very often post things, share things, and then never go back and look at a comment because so many people have things to say.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do, and then I get a little smarty pants, Like one day I was on TikTok live and she's like, oh, she's messing with spirit. And I'm like, messing with ghost.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, hold on a second. Let me get you in check.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's because people's view about this stuff is like stuff they learn on TV, right?
Yes. I'm like, I'm not.
Or the movies.
Poking anyone.
Yeah.
I'm not rocking anybody's grave. I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. I'm just allowing them to come to me if they want to.
Yeah.
I ain't messing with nothing.
What makes you think that if someone's missing, like, what's the feeling that you get if you feel that they're gone?
Ooh, that's a good one. For me specifically, I get a vertigo feeling. Like I'll get a dizzy pressure in my head.
Yeah.
Vertigo type feeling. And that's my sign, my symbol, my feeling of, okay, this person's deceased.
Oh. Yeah, because with the missing man, you knew he was
I knew he was still alive. Although I was scared to find him not alive.
Like just in the nick of time.
I didn't know what to expect. So I knew that he was still alive, but I didn't know that he was still alive until I found him alive. That was just me having to trust spirit.
Yeah.
And he's still alive.
Yeah.
So that while they were telling me, go, 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 he's still alive, giving me the feeling of he's still alive, making me feel like I know that he's still alive. I had to trust that.
Yeah.
Had I let my fear jump in the way, I would have never found him alive. It's so hard to explain.
Who was the woman that you mentioned before? There was a woman that was doing research, and that was the first woman you wanted to reach out to, but you found out that she was no longer around or something.
Oh, so I worked hand in hand with a search and rescue team here in San Antonio for many cases. Goes back down to the Andreen McDonald case. There was so many years ago, some people won't understand who it is. Her name was Nina.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked a lot directly with her. She was head of this organization because it's hard for me to be in like real big groups, even though I'll go walk with the groups and help search.
Oh, okay.
I need to just be like focused with one person. And I was really excited she knew that I had found him, but whenever the news actually picked it up, I was so pumped, and I sent her a message on Facebook, and I'm like, Nina, you need to go watch the news at 10 o'clock. They're actually, because this is something really big and positive, like for our type of community, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I found him, and they're airing it. And then, unfortunately, a few days later, she was found deceased.
Oh.
She passed away, complications of the flu.
Oh, okay.
So it's difficult because, it's something that I wanted to celebrate with her. And even whenever she texted me, like messaged me that night, it's so wild because I was telling somebody this the other day. Her exact words were, let me see, I looked back at it. It was a Friday night and it was like 7 something. And I'm like, you need to watch the news at 10. And she said, I don't know if I'll be able to make it. I have the flu. Okay. Well, okay, I hope you feel better.
Oh.
And then Monday, she was still alive.
Okay.
But her daughter found her later that day, passed away in her bed.
Yeah.
And I go back and I look at it now, and I'm like, did Nina know that she had something was going to happen?
Yeah.
Why would she say, I don't know if I'm going to make it? I didn't ask you to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I just asked you to turn on the TV.
Right.
It's subtle things like that.
Wow.
That you look back on and you question.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
I literally was just talking to somebody about that like 2 days ago.
In the moment, you're like,
That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, why would she say that? But okay, she's not in her right mind right now. She's not feeling well.
What is next? What are you doing aside from you're still working missing people?
Yes. I now that I call myself Texas famous, but now because that news article went out all over Texas, so not only San Antonio, but Austin picked it up, Waco picked it up, Corpus picked it up, like a bunch of other news channels picked it up over the months and time.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
What was next?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people have reached out to me about their missing persons.
Yeah.
And I politely let people know, hey, I'll put you on my list because I don't charge for that. That's free. And it's a lot of energy work.
Yeah.
But I also need to feel a connection. So I do have 2 cases that I'm actively working right now. And for me, this is just only in my spare time when I have extra time to do it.
Yeah.
And it is my way to give back to the world, the community, with the gift that I have. Try to help people get closure.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. But I also, online, you can book a phone or a Zoom or even an in-person psychic or mediumship session with me. I do healing. I can do that over the phone. I can do it in person. And it's a lot of emotional stuff. I use my hands and I disconnect certain emotional feelings. Some people call it spiritual surgery.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah.
I disconnect the feelings of the trauma that you may have as a child from something that you may carry with you today. I just rid all of the emotion connected to things in your life that have hurt you. Your heartache, your breakups, whatever. And then I put all positive energy in there. It really helps you walk through life through ease. Like it's a beautiful thing. I had it done on me before. So I do that also. I try my best to help others like me learn and understand themselves. I would love to get into teaching. It's just a lot. Because I know I can do it.
Yeah.
I just got to put it all on paper.
You're a good speaker.
Oh, really? I love speaking. I do, but I do that too. Like on May 7th, wrong dates. What day are we?
We're in
January, February, March.
Yeah, going into March.
May. Okay, so May 16th and 17th, I think it's going to be. I'm going to be speaking at Psychic and Spirit Fest here in San Antonio. Curious Twins Paranormal puts it on, and I've formed a really good alliance with them.
Yeah.
And there's a good connection. So I would love to do that everywhere, like all around, everywhere. I would love to travel and speak so people can understand.
Yeah.
And help. I love it.
That's important.
Yep. If I can make this my full-time job, I would. Have I scaled back on real estate? Yes, because I feel like this needs to be more pertinent, but I have a husband and I mean, come on, we still have to pay our own bills,
right.
You know?
We still have to
yeah,
keep the day job and then work towards what we want.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
But this is where my passion's at.
And you mentioned before you're writing this book, what if you decide to write the book, what would it be about?
So I'm trying to fully understand how I want to write a book or if I want to write multiple books.
Okay.
So I firmly believe that people like me become stronger through trauma and getting through their trauma, processing their trauma and getting through it. And unfortunately, I have had a lot of trauma in my life.
Yeah.
And a lot of traumatic experiences, like unbelievable, this should be in a movie type of stuff. And that's why I like to put forward and work to help people, because I've gone through so much pain in my life that if I can help you not to get to this pain point or get through this pain point, then why should another human have to suffer whenever I went through all of that already and I can try to help you?
Yeah.
So, example, one of the books is, or am I going to write this as my life? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking one of the books is about how I predicted my unborn son's death. Step by step by step by step. And this happened in 2008. And it's not just that I predicted it. I knew upon conception that I would never hold my child. And I verbalized it and I said it. Was I putting it out in the universe being negative? No, it was something that I knew.
Yeah.
But then I allowed myself to, like, I wouldn't even allow myself to grow a bond with the child in me, because something told me that I would never hold him or it, whatever it was, you know? Yeah. Then I get to a certain stage in my pregnancy where I'm pretty far along and we can find out the gender through an ultrasound.
Yeah.
So I learn, oh my gosh, I'm having another boy. And I remember thinking to myself, God wouldn't let me know the gender of this child if he was going to take it from me. That was my exact thoughts.
Yeah.
So I allowed myself later in the pregnancy, way later, you know, to bond with my child. And there's so many other series of events that happen, but long story short, one Monday morning I woke up and I just grabbed my stomach and I'm like, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone. His soul is gone. It's empty. He's gone. And I remember running down the hall to my mom and I'm like, I'm dramatic as hell. And I'm like, he's gone. And they're just like calling me a drama queen because that's what people do.
Yeah.
And I wrote it all down. I journaled this back in 2008. And back then they had like MSN mom groups and stuff like that. They didn't have Facebook or MySpace.
Yeah.
God, I feel old. So even went in my little mom group and I wrote it all out. And everybody's like, oh, you're fine. You're being dramatic. You're having hormone dreams, all kinds of stuff. So I let it go. And literally 3 days later, even though I was so distraught, I mean, I was hurt.
Yeah.
3 days later, the moment I opened the door to that doctor's office and stepped my foot in the door, everything replayed from what I wrote down.
Oh, wow.
Like that tedious. From the, I got connected to the ultrasound machine just so that we can look at the baby, not because there was anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that was looking for the baby's heart. In my dream, my vision, whatever you want to call it, the doctor was looking at the baby's head, making measurements.
Oh, okay.
My mom was in denial that it was a boy, so she was looking for the private part because I had already had 2 boys.
Yeah.
So she wanted a girl. And I was looking for the heart. And I said, where's the heartbeat? And the doctor joked. And I'm like, no, for real, where's the heartbeat? And then he moves the little wand over, just like I wrote, and he takes it off my stomach.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, I'm so sorry, baby. And I lost it. And then I think that is a pivotal point in my family, that if someone didn't believe,
Yeah.
what I can do or know, basically, it freaked some people out. How do you predict your unborn child's death?
Yeah.
That's not easy. And it was really tough. Huge trauma for me.
Especially when you have all this experience about connecting to someone, like you connect to their spirit, you connect.
I firmly believe this was my son's spirit that come to me and prepped me. Because the pain that I felt that Monday that I woke up,
Yeah.
was so sad and heartbreaking. So in the back of my mind, even though I'm thinking this isn't going to happen,
Yeah.
it's still back there, So whenever the Thursday comes around and I step foot in the doctor's office and this starts happening, it's like it's happening again. But it hits hard, but it softens the impact a little bit because
Yeah.
it already happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Because you already knew, but then it happened. Well, you already knew it was going to happen.
But I didn't know it was going to happen.
But the confirmation just, made it more real.
I mean, I guess. Of course, the confirmation made it real. You don't want to get confirmed in that type of way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just personally feel that had I not had those few days to process, that I would have probably taken it a lot harder.
Yeah.
I mean, I took it hard.
That's what I was thinking.
But I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. So anyway, that's a book.
Yeah.
Is that a book in itself? I'm not sure yet, because I have so many big traumas like that are my life.
Yeah.
Like my dad.
Yeah.
And that is finally slowly coming out to the public, because that happened when I was 15 years old, and he was good Lord.
Oh yeah, we're going on 2 hours.
He was a very, very well looked upon person. He was actually a police officer.
Oh, okay.
And he was in the field for over 20 years. He was a sergeant at the time of his arrest. He was a tech. I never remember him patrolling, but for all my life that I can remember, he was a detective. And boy, was I daddy's little girl.
Yeah.
And only daddy's girl. And I looked up to him so highly. And he turned out to be the Southside serial rapist.
What?
Of the community that we lived in. So for over 12 years, there was someone going around and harming women.
And this was
in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Oh, Louisiana. Okay. Because that's where you grew up.
Yes. And he was going around, someone was going around harming women. And it was from 1986 to 1995.
Oh, wow.
And back then, like, the technology wasn't what it is today.
Yeah.
And they could not find this man. And then in 1999, there was an anonymous tip, which all led to him. And they finally had DNA coming out then and geographic profiling and everything. And he got arrested 2 weeks after my 15th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So one day for 15 years, I'm daddy's little girl. You know, this beautiful, bright, shining light. I have a huge, beautiful, happy family. And poof, the man that I'm supposed to trust is not the man that I know. Not just the man I'm supposed to trust. Like, you have a mama and you have a daddy.
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was really tough.
That's a whole nother book, podcast.
See what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So how do I write this book? So I know book is coming, but I don't know how to do it. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. But he's writing a book right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm helping him.
Well, Victoria, we did it.
We did it. Thank you, Selenite.
You do the TikTok where you said people can reach you on. You have a website? What's the website? Yes,
it's www.psychicmedium.contact.
Okay.
So that's my website. I have a link tree that really gets you anywhere and everywhere.
I'll link that in the description also.
My social medias. In all honesty, to get more one-on-one conversation, I pay most attention to those that are subscribed to my Patreon membership thingy, because that's a $9.99 subscription.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm there for those that believe in me.
Right.
Like I said, I don't always look at my messages on all of my social media accounts and so forth, because there's so much negative out there. At least I know in my little community, it's supporters.
Yeah. Well, I believe.
I know you do.
And again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For coming and doing
3
this
times.
And going through this whole thing with me.
I'm excited. I can't wait to finally see it go through.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you later.
Thanks.